Alright, so I have my Gimp open, I have my toolbox, I have my main window, and it looks like it didn't open up for whatever reason. It did not open up my layers palette. So when I go to my windows, you can look under dockable dialogues. In my case, I think it shows up in my recently closed ones. And want to make sure I open my layers palette. You'll recognize this one because it has layers, and over on the side it should have a history. That's the one you learned about last time. You can undo any mistakes you make. The first one's layers. So what we're going to do today is try to make a hybrid animal like this, a parala, a parrot with a koala head. This is very obviously photoshopped. You can do them where they look a little bit more convincing, but for our purposes we're just going to try and do a quick kind of hack job of it. So what you're going to do is open one of your files, like the parrot. And then I'm going to do file, but instead of open, I want to do open as layers. The difference here is if I open it, it will open up a separate whole window with the koala. If I do open as a layer, it's going to put the koala in my layer menu right here. So I'll do open as layers, go to my koala, and open it. So here in my layers palette, you can see there's the koala and there's the parrot. And I can click and drag the parrot above the koala to make the parrot come into the foreground, or I can click and drag him back down. You'll also see that there's little eyeballs. If I click one of them, you'll see I'll hide the koala. If I click the other one, it'll hide the parrot. Now, if you see this checkered pattern in the background, that's basically the program telling you this is transparent area. So if I were to print this picture, nothing in this checkered area would print because there's nothing in there. So right now, if I were to print this page, my page would come out blank because there's nothing in the area. So if you ever see this checkered pattern, that just means it's transparent. Alright, so here I have my two animals together. What you may find is if they're too big on your computer, you'll want to scale them. So if I go over in my toolbox, you're going to learn about your first new tool today. It's the scale tool. If you hover over the tools, they'll tell you their names, so it's very easy that way. It's like a little square and then an arrow pointing like as if you're dragging it into a bigger square. So I'll click my scale tool, and I'm going to make sure I'm on my koala layer, and I'll click on my koala. This window will pop up. If I just start scaling, you can see I can squish my koala around, and it's kind of hard to make sure I keep him in the right it's hard to keep it in the right proportion. In order to avoid that, I can right here, there's a little chain link, and right now the chain link's broken. If I click the chain link, what it's going to do is lock the proportions so that even if I move my mouse around, it's going to keep it in proportion. Alright, when I have it the size I want it, I'll hit scale. Then I want to go and switch to my parrot layer, grab the corner and do the same thing. Since I clicked my link here, I don't need to worry about it. It stayed linked. Scale. Okay, so now I have these two layers. I want to switch back. Here's my other tool. It's the move tool. Switch to my move tool, or else it'll keep trying to make me scale things. And I can move these layers around independently of one another. I'm using two easy images that have a solid black white background. The reason why is because we can use this fancy tool up here called the fuzzy select tool. So I'll click on my fuzzy select tool. It looks like a little Harry Potter wand up there. And I'm on my koala layer, so I'll kind of hit in the white area, and you'll see there's a dashed kind of line that formed around all the white area. If I clicked in his face, what it does is the computer is selecting, here I'll try and zoom in for you. The computer is selecting and guessing what you're trying to select. So if you click on his nose, it's going to try and guess that you're trying to go for these like darker values. If you go in the background, it's quite easy because it's able to see, oh, it's a solid white background. You must be selecting that. So I'm going to delete my solid white background by selecting it with my fuzzy select tool and hitting my delete button. Unfortunately, since I'm on a Mac and I have this rigged up weird at home, I have to do it the long way. So I'll go to Edit, Clear. I hope and I believe on your computers you can just hit delete on your keyboard. If you can't, then the long way is to go to Edit and Clear. So that'll delete that area. Now I can see the white's gone. I have my transparent there. So now I'm going to click on my parrot, and I'll use my fuzzy select tool again. Select the background. I'm going to edit clear. Alright, so now I have these two animals. The white is completely gone, so I'm dealing with just the overall shapes. Let's delete the bottom of this guy here. Okay. If you have a selection and you can't seem to get off of it, go to your select menu and just say select none. And that way you won't be selecting anything anymore. Gosh, I still had some little bit hiding down there. Clear, select, none. There we go. Now I'm back to my koala and my parrot. Oops, I'm still on my wand tool. You can see I kind of just messed that up. So I'm going to select my move tool instead. I'm going to go select none to get rid of those dashed lines. What I want to do is have my koala kind of fit onto the top of my body of my parrot. So I'm going to scale it again. So I'm going back to my scale tool. And I'm going to scale him until he seems to kind of fit along that parrot neck. Good. But obviously I have a problem here because I have my parrot's head sticking off the side. So what I'll do is just hide my koala layer. I'm going to go to my parrot. I'm going to use a different tool this time. So we're learning a lot of different tools. The feather or the fuzzy select tool, it does a whole general guessing of what you're trying to select. Whereas the lasso tool right next to it looks like a little lasso. It's called the free select tool. It says select a hand-drawn region. And so I'll click on that. And I'll just click, pull. It's kind of like MS Paint. You're sort of drawing a line around. Alright, so here I have my parrot. I selected his head. And I'm going to, again, hopefully you guys will be able to just delete on your keyboard. I haven't tried it on the student laptop yet. Just clear. Oh, it's my cat saying hi. Sorry. Alright. Now I'll go to select none again. Just makes it easier. I can do my eyeball back on my koala layer. And here I have my koala and my parrot. If you don't like the look of this transparent background, sometimes it kind of bugs me too. What you can do is on your layers menu, you have a little white page that says create new layer. So if I click that, a little window will pop up. You can name it if you want. I rarely do. If you were doing a huge project where you had 90 layers, like if you were doing this professionally and making like a billboard where you have all these different layers, it's helpful. For our purposes, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to fill it with white. Okay. And you can see that it took away my parrot simply because it's on top of it in my pile. So I'll move it to the bottom of the pile. And here I have my koala parrot. The last thing that I kind of want to cover with you is I have this harsh line in between the parrot and the koala. And this is where you guys already learned about the cloning and healing tool that you can kind of fudge around and play with it. I just want to show you what will happen if I try to use it when they're on separate layers. So if I grab my healing tool, control click, and try to use it along the edge, you can see it's not actually sampling from the koala because I'm on my background image. Since they're two separate layers, it's not going to work properly. So what I need to do is flatten these layers so that they're not separate, since they're all together now. So I'll go to File, Image, and Flatten Image. So now you can see my layers all are flattened into one layer. And now let's see what happens if I use my healing tool. Control click, so it has a sample area. And I'll go along that edge. And here you can see it's working. Control click to change my area where I'm sampling from. Again, you can tell this is a really rough job of it, but for our purposes, we're just kind of learning the program, so that's fine. And I think you can see it's trying to compromise between the koala's gray skin and the parrot's bright color, and it doesn't really know what to do, so it's putting in this weird bright fuchsia. Okay, so we'll do view. Why can't I zoom out? Oh, here we go. Zoom, fit image and window. All right, so there we have our koala. You learned a few new tools in this video and a few different panels, working spaces, like your layers menu over here. You learned about the scale tool and the move tool and the fuzzy select tool and the free select tool. So it's just managing kind of those new tools you're learning today with the things you already know in this program. And you'll probably run into a couple little kinks along the way. We can work through it and yeah, have fun with it.